Welcome to Last Week in AWS. AWS upgrades its CEO. Adam Selipsky has been deprecated like a Google product and replaced with Matt Garman. Let me tell you a few things about Mr. Garman from personal experience. He embodies customer obsession better than anyone I've ever met at Amazon. He has historically demonstrated the uncanny ability to push back on my nonsense, both firmly, but also without being a jerk about it. Let me stress just how rare this is. And he absolutely has a personality of his own. In other words, this is a typical Amazonian solution. Instead of fixing the first service, instead they replace it with a second version of the service that's both better and more expensive. I will say, though, I'm more enthused about reInvent this year than I've been since before the pandemic. This episode is sponsored by Prowler, the tool that makes your AWS security look like less of a dumpster fire. Prowler runs over 250 checks to make sure you're compliant with AWS best practices so you can focus on what you do best, whatever the hell that might be. Head on over to Prowler.com and get started. Your cloud security team will thank you, and if you don't have a cloud security team, well, you really need Prowler. Now let's see what AWS has gotten up to. Announcing TimeStream Compute Unit, TCU, for Amazon TimeStream for live analytics. I missed this gem a couple weeks ago. They're replacing the old TimeStream billing method with something that for many use cases is many times more expensive. I will remember this the next time AWS touts a price cut for a service nobody uses in a region no one knew existed as evidence of their dedication to helping customers reduce their costs. Amazon S3 will no longer charge for several HTTP error codes. While this is being touted as a win for customers, let's be very clear here. This was first identified by Colin Percival as an issue, which he reported to AWS in 2006, 18 years ago. This isn't suddenly AWS discovered the problem. It's that someone wrote a blog post that got enough traction they couldn't ignore it. Doubtless someone ran an analysis before committing to fix this that validated the money on the table was a relative pittance. If it had not been, they'd have continued to ignore the sporadic customer reports that this was patently unfair. That's my guess anyway. Amazon VPC Lattice now supports TLS pass-through. I'd almost forgotten that Lattice existed because I thought it was crappy when it first launched, because somehow it neglected to mention in its rollout that it completely replaced data transfer charges, which made it not just a technical win, but a cloud economics win as well. Seriously, look into it. They massively buried the lead here. Let's talk about Prowler open source. Look, AWS security is a beast. And unless you've got a team of magical unicorns, you're gonna miss something. That's where Prowler comes in. It's like having a security expert in your back pocket, running over 250 checks, and keeping your AWS environment in check. Thousands of companies trust it, and you should too. Give it a try at Prowler.com and turn your AWS security nightmares into sweet, sweet dreams. Application Load Balancer launches IPv6 only support for internet clients. At last. AWS's Application Load Balancer has just added IPv6 support only 9 years after the rest of the world ran out of IPv4 addresses. Why? Because why hurry to support a protocol that's merely a core part of the modern internet? Around the AWS office, they call this innovation at our own damn pace. And finally, safely remove Kafka brokers from Amazon MSK provisioned clusters. This is quite the spin. Good news, you can scale your MSK clusters without having to completely destroy it in the process when scaling in. That's how it should read, and yes, that is as hilariously bad as it sounds. And that's what happened last week in AWS. It's going to be a fun summer.